Well, welcome to Unit 2. In Unit 2, we're going to make equations more complex. And one of the things, or more multi-step, and one of the steps we're going to add is the distributive property. So we're going to review distributive property of multiplication. There is a division version of this that you probably haven't seen before, but we're going to review the multiplication version of distributive property, which you should have done in 7th grade. All right, before that, let's do a little combining like terms. So we have negative 3y plus 7y is 4y's plus 2. We stop there, right, because 4y and 2 are not like terms. And I didn't really say much about this when we were doing it last time, but let's understand. If you go to the store and have 5 apples and $6, you can't add 5 apples and $6, just like you can't add 4y and 2. So here, the like terms are the x's. 8x minus 2x is 6x, and then we have plus 3y, and you're done. You can't add those two together because they are not like terms. All right, so hopefully we all know that that means multiply, right? Because there's no operation written there. So that always means multiply. And so we're going to distribute or multiply everything inside those parentheses. And there's a rule about that called the distributive property. And it says if you do that, you have to do 5 times x, which is 5x, 5 times 2 positive 2y, which is 10y, and 5 times negative 4, or 5 minus 5 times 4, which is minus 20. And those two expressions are equivalent. All right, we have distributed the 5. So do that in the next one. Now here, you distribute the 7 to the parentheses, things inside the parentheses. You don't multiply 5y times 7. So we do 7 times x is 7x. There's positive 8, so 7 times 8 is positive or plus 56, and that's our expression. Now, when we get later in the year, you're going to have to put these in this order. You may leave them today this way, but in algebra, we put the plain old number last in answers, and we usually go in alphabetical order for the variables. So x comes before y, and that's a rule coming later in the year, but you could get used to that. If you look in textbooks, for the answers in the back, they will always be in that order. All right, so the key thing, that was easy enough, is that here, when you have this situation, you have to multiply everything by a negative 2, and that sometimes leads to mistakes. So we'll go over that as well. All right, distributive property says when you're multiplying a group of terms, parentheses make groups, so do brackets, so do the top and bottom of a fraction, they make groups. And when you're making a group, you have to multiply when you're multiplying a group, you have to multiply everything inside the group. And so this is easy enough. It should be a review, right? It's 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 2y is 10y, and 5 times 3 is 15. Next one, you only multiply within the parentheses, so we get 56x plus 7y minus 9, and you leave it, right? These are not like terms. That's why we're done. That's as simple as you can make it. Tricky tests sometimes put this back here. You had this on your summer quiz to see if you knew this already. So you do 6 times 4x is 24x, and 6 times negative 7 is negative 42, or you get minus 42 there. And with x, it's done the same way. X times 7, right? We never write x7 because that looks like times 7, right? So you always put the coefficient. The coefficient there is 7, the number, first. And x times y, you put in alphabetical order, x, y. You never see it as yx in an answer. All right, area. So how is area different than perimeter? Right? Area is the number of square units inside here. Okay? So one of these sides is 5, and one of these sides is 3x plus 2. And what that means is there's some missing information on that side. But it's 3 times that missing information plus 2. Right? What was the area of a rectangle from, right? You might have done length times width. I prefer base times height, same exact formula. Right? The bottom is the base, the side going straight up is the height, or you could have done length and width. You multiply the two sides. Why is this here? Because when you multiply these two sides, you can't just smash them together. You need distributive property. All right, so the area is multiply the two sides of a rectangle. 5 times 3x is 15x, and 5 times 10. And what that means is one of the things in algebraic thinking is a lot of people, when they're missing some information, well, I can't figure it out. Well, you can't finish, but once we figure out what the missing information is, we're just going to multiply that by 15 and add 10, and we will know how many square feet of carpet or whatever your missing information is. All you don't have to stop and do nothing just because you're missing a little bit of information, x. All right, so here you're going to combine your like terms as well. Just like you always have to simplify a fraction for answers, you always have to combine your like terms if there are terms to combine. So let's see that here. So 3 times 2x is 6x, 3 times 4 is 12. You don't multiply the 5. You are not allowed to leave it that way. Why? Because it's not fully simplified. Just like you can't ever leave 4/8, right? You have to make it 1/2. You have to, if you have like terms, you must combine them. And so the only correct answer here is 6x plus 17. Then you stop because 6x and 17 are not like terms. Same thing here. So we have 4x plus 36 minus 3x. We have some like terms. We must combine them. Please do not write 1x in answers. Right? 1x perfectly acceptable while you're doing the problem. But in the answer, you're going to put x. 1x is x. X plus 36. All right, here the 2 is behind it, but it's still the same thing. 2 times 5x is 10x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. And so we get that. We have like terms. 10x minus 7x, 3x. So it's 3x minus 6. Yes, we could have decimals in these. Now, you cannot clear decimals in expressions. These are expressions. There's no other side. So if you try to clear the decimal, you get a different answer. That only works for equations where you have two sides. All right, so we're going to do multiply by 0.2, and we get 0.2x. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 0.2, 1.6, plus 1.3. We have numbers. Any numbers are like terms. So 0.2x and negative 1.6 plus 1.3. 1.6 minus 1.3 is 0.3. This is negative 0.3 or 3/10. All right. And notice I don't write these leading zeros in there. They're just annoying, especially when you're doing equations and expressions. All right, so say find the total cost of buying 2 of each item. Well, we did this with combining like terms, but this is a distributive property lesson. Well, what am I getting at? Well, you need distributive property, 2 of each. So we need 2 of the 3x, 2 of the x, and 2 of the 50 cents. That's what we're getting at. And so this is an expression, right? We don't have anything over here. You're just writing an expression for it. So then let's simplify that expression. Now you could add the 3x plus x first, or you can multiply by 2 first. You will get the exact same thing both ways. 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 50 cents, right, is $1. And so this simplifies to x plus 1, 8x plus 1. So we know once we find the cost of the pencil, the actual cost of buying 2 of each is going to be 8 times the cost of the pencil plus $1. Right? We're assuming everything's in dollars here. I didn't say that. Right? The pencil is X. The pen was 3 times as much. Okay, so we're going to distribute a negative now, and I just want to make sure we go through this. All right, so negative 5 times x, everyone realizes is negative 5x. So when we multiply negative 5 times positive 3, right, you get negative 15, or minus 15. Now, why that all works without you doing anything is because of this, right? you could write it out the long way, negative 5x plus negative 15, right? If you kept that and did negative 5 times 3, you would get that. We would never leave it that way, though, because we always would change plus negative 15 to minus 15. That's why, students learn the rule, but they don't understand why things automatically go from minus to negative. Well, they do, but it's because that subtraction is the same as adding the opposite, that minuses and negatives turn out to work without you really doing anything, turn out to be the same, although they are different. So let's see that on the screen. All right, so we're multiplying both of these by negative 6. So we have negative 6 times 2x, negative 12x. Negative 6 times negative y is positive, right? 6y. Two negatives make a positive. Again, though, you could have thought of it a different way. You could have gone 2x minus negative 6 times y minus negative 6y, right? Well, minus negative 6y is the same as positive 6y. Right? This screen is just really trying to make sure you understand why all these things work out. Right? Minus negative 6 will always be the same as plus 6, so you can do negative 6 times negative y and get positive 6y. So we have negative 4 times negative 7x, that's positive 28x. Negative 4 times negative 9y, that's plus or positive 36y. And that's nicely in alphabetical order. Okay. So let's just start making these a little more complicated. Negative 4 times x, negative 4x. Negative 4 times 1, negative 4 minus 4, plus 11x. Does this have like terms? It sure does. Negative 4x plus 11x is 7x. We're going to put the x before the 4 because that's the way all textbooks put the answer, in alphabetical order with the numbers at the end, and it's 7x minus 4. Here, now, so notice things are not in order here. That doesn't really matter till the answer. Negative 3 times 5. Negative 3 times 2x. Negative 6x, right, because it's a positive 2x. Plus 2x minus 7. Right, negative 15 minus 7, same as negative 15 plus negative 7, negative 22. Now you could leave your answer that, but if you were looking at the back of a book or in a multiple choice test, they would switch this around. The minus 6x would become negative 6x. The negative 22 would become minus 22, right? Without you doing really anything, right? That's a negative sign because there's nothing in front of it. That's a minus sign because there's something on either side. There's not a difference in size. It's about where it is. Either of those are correct today. Okay. Now, so whether that's a minus or negative really doesn't matter. But the key is that when you have this situation, you are going to distribute a negative 1 there. Okay? So I like to write it in, that negative 1, whenever I have a minus or a negative right in front of parentheses. So when you distribute this, you're going to get negative 2x minus 3. And everyone remembers the negative 2x. It's the minus 3 part that people forget, because you have to multiply both of those by negative 1. Distributive property says a group is always multiplied by that number outside, the whole thing. Same thing here. So you're multiplying all of these, and you'll notice that everything becomes its opposite sign. So the x becomes the opposite of x, minus 4y becomes positive, plus 4y, plus 9 becomes minus 9. It becomes its opposite. All right, same thing. So we have negative x, or opposite of x, minus 6y minus 2y. Are we done? No, we have like terms. You're not allowed to leave it that way. Negative x, and that's minus 8y, right? Same as adding negative 2y. So that's negative x minus 8y. All right, we're practicing. Do all 4 of these before I put up the answers, please. All right, so negative x times negative 2y is, all right, it is positive. Two negatives make a positive, or plus 2xy. I didn't realize I had put that in there. All right, now, there are no like terms in here. We'll talk more about this another day. All right, xy terms are not the same as x, and they're not the same as y. So you're done. Okay, don't do anything else. Do not combine those.